What if the biggest lie in Stranger Things is not Vecna power, but who actually is control the entire time? Was still very end because one identity completely changed the Henry Creel and Mind Flayer story, and once you see it, you can't unsee it. But for years, the show led us to believe a simple idea: Henry Creel become Vecna, and Vecna ruled the ups and downs. The Mind Flayer looked like nothing more than a weapon, something created contrary or something commanded by him. But the truth is far more disturbing. The final revelation showed that Henry did not rise to power alone. He was found. When Henry comes to across the stage, meteor-like stone in the cave, everything changes. He does not just gain abilities. He hears a voice, a deep commanding presence that immediately fills his mind. That voice does not ask, it does not negotiate, it tells him to find it. And the same moment Henry is showed his visions of the app, that voice is not Vecna, it's the mind flare. And that single moment rewrite the ups and downs because it proved that Mind Flayer made the first move. It reached into Henry's mind when he was young, vulnerable, and already disconnected from the world around him. That was a random. The Mind Flayer did not need to create a monster. It found it one it could shape. It found it one could shape. But here is what makes the terrifying. Henry was not forced. The Mind Flayer did not control him like a puppet. Instead of planted to believe so powerful that Henry could never question it. The world is broken and it deserves to be destroyed. The idea becomes Henry's foundation. Once it's planted, the mind play did not need to constantly guide him anymore. Henry believed the mission on his own. Every action he takes feels justified. Every little he takes feels necessary. And this is where the story becomes truly dangerous because at the point manipulation transforms into a partnership and he chose to embrace to mind player. It did not described as innocent or never what he doing, and he wanted to exchange for accepting the mind player's vision. Henry gains power, purpose, and a sense, and over a could he believe failed him. This is why Vecna speaks with the mind player voice, and this is why ups and down bends around him. This is why demogrons bow, not because Henry is king, but because he is something larger. Two entities, one shared system, and the system is not symbolic; it's a physical. Their final battle proves this is the most brutal way possible when the mind flares is physical from the attacked. Vecna immediately loses the focus. When weakness is controlled the sleeps, this tells us their connection is not just a mental, it's a biological link. Hurt one and the other suffers. That's the mistake Andy never saw coming. For binding himself to Mind Flayer, he made a severely dependent on it. The same connection that gave him a good luck power also created a fatal weakness. As the group Demogorgon is a Mind Flayer with fire, weapons and sheer force, Vecna become vulnerable in way he never was before. And then comes the final twist. Will Henry very first victims use the hive mind and conscience against him? The one Henry relied on becomes the weapon that tears him apart. Vecna loses arms, his defense up collapse, and Eleven finally as the opening she needs. This is the most to everything ends. This is the moment everything ends. When the mind player collapses, the living places inside Vecna's layer stops beating and the entire environment goes silent because the layer was never just a place. It was a part of the mind flare in itself, a living extension of power. Once the heart stops, Henry is no longer to God. Once that heart stops, Henry is not no longer a good. He's just a human, blending, choking, and dying. No throne, no army, no hive mind to protect him. And when Henry finally dies, the mind flare does not continue. There is no new plan, no replacement, no recreation. Because Henry was telling the truth along, either them could exist without the others. That's the real secret. Vecna was never the stole the mastermind. The mind flare is never just a monster. They were shared the existence born from contact, shaped by belief, and steal it by choice. And that's what's exactly why they could be defected. And that's the real truth behind this ending. What looked confusing the first actually connection every detail perfectly. The story was not about monsters or power, it's about the choice, control, and consequence. If you notice something I missed, drop into a comments. And that's it. Thanks for watching. Until next time.